Hi, welcome to the Daddy Curbs farm. I want to show you in this video how a group of 4-H students built this beautiful raised bed garden for a student community garden. Several months ago, a local 4-H group decided they wanted to do a gardening project. They asked me to come out and teach them how to garden. Instead of just teaching them how to garden in a classroom setting, I decided to give them a garden here on my farm. Having the 4-H students here on the farm was a lot of fun. Some of them took time to get close to nature.
So cool. Or is that a camera? They don't want to go on here.
Others wanted to get to work. First, I gave them an overview of what the garden bed was going to look like, and then we got to work building it.
Walk in, and the bed's going to be all the way around.
Okay.
Yeah. Then we'll have a dead truck we can't move.
I had purchased enough treated 2x4s and 1x4s to finish this project. Also on the farm, I had a stack of old metal that came off the barn that my boys and I tore down. The metal roofing material was cut up to be used as the main material in the raised beds. The 4-H students and I measured the garden area, then cut all of the 2x4s and laid them out so they would be ready to assemble. It looked like over here by the garden space we were having so much fun that Coco, the large tortoise, decided to come visit.
I think I scared him. Hey, Coco. He's running away.
Once all of the 2x4s were cut and laid in place,
I do a lot of things just on the run. Not to show my plumber's crack.
we started to attach them with metal plates and screws.
Just kidding. Okay. Turn these to the inside, like that.
Okay, the next drilling or cutting's Grace, please.
Okay.
The loose framework was lifted and held in place by several students while I started to attach the first metal pieces to make the raised bed's sides.
What you guys doing?
Holding the wood.
We're helping.
Okay. As we move around, if you guys are putting panels on, we're going to put 2 screws and leave the third one undone so that we can overlap. But I'm going to get all the corners done and then we'll start putting the centerpieces in.
The students now have a good understanding of what the raised bed is going to look like and how to assemble it, so they take turns attaching the metal panels to the framework.
You didn't know that was a digging tool, did you? Oh, sorry. That's why we wear gloves.
Of course, there's a little time for horsing around too.
No. This is how you do the flip. Oh. And there we go. Hey, says nah. You didn't want that today. He usually
The raised beds were filled with compost that was made here on the Daddy Curbs farm as a first layer. The second layer was a truck bed full of garden soil purchased at the local materials yard.
push. Push.
Oh, I remember that.
Push it again.
Treated 1x4s were added to the top of the structure to cover the corrugated metal cut ends, and this will also serve to make the beds more rigid.
Anything missing in your yard?
Hey,
How you doing?
you know, putting gardens together. The usual.
You making a ledge?
So the reason we're putting a top cap on, one for decoration, but also to make the garden more rigid and to cover up the metal edges, just keeping it safe as we garden. We're not worried about cutting our arms on that metal.
This project was more than just kids learning how to garden. Watching the community effort was a real thrill for me.
Double 5.
There we go.
That's it. All the metal panels are in. Woohoo! It looks so good.
Well, 1 week passed in a hurry, and it's time to plant the 4-H garden. We decided not to fill the beds all the way up this season to keep the cost down. We can add soil later in the season or next year to prepare for next year's season. Each family brought some of their own plants, and I also had available to them some peppers and tomatoes that I found on discount at the local grocery store. The U-shaped raised beds were divided into 4 equal sections, where each family could have their own little garden.
Garden salsa, hot peppers, and habanero.
Nice. And then this is your section of the bed?
Yes. Peppers can be planted in clusters or in rows. It doesn't really matter so much. The tomato you're going to probably want to put in the corner. So we're going to do cucumbers and a variety of peppers and tomatoes. Are you guys planting tomato and pepper plants?
We are going to be planting carrots, spinach, cucumber, watermelon, and some herbs.
I do have extra peppers and tomatoes if you want some.
I think I see China.
Right, so I would make, well, you can make a trench, or you can just go through and use a stick or your finger and drop it about a ½ inch deep. This is the cucumber seeds, and we're planting cucumber seeds on the back so they can grow up and on this fence as a trellis.
Are you tickling the roots?
So I texted Sheridan. She said, I'm in Pittsburgh right now. I had forwarded the info to my husband. I just called him and he said he was...
Some families chose to get a bit creative by creating ladders and trellises out of the pile of sticks and twigs that I had laying next to the orchard. These will be used to train cucumbers and melons up to the fence where they can grow vertically, saving space in the garden. I could judge how much fun they were having by the bare feet
High
and the
fives.
smiles.
As long as they're like 2 or 3 feet away.
Wow, what a busy couple of weeks. I'm so grateful that I was able to have this space to provide for the 4-H students. I think it's going to create lots of memories and hopefully lots of tasty homegrown meals in the near future. It will be fun to watch the students as they come out and water the garden, weed the garden, and watch their produce grow. It will also be fun to show the progress of this garden in the future. If you'd like to see that, hit subscribe and the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Because here on the Daddy Curbs farm, I believe that everyone has a story and every story counts. I believe your story counts because you count. Thank you so much for being a part of my story through this video and the 4-H students' stories and letting us be a part of yours. We'll talk to you soon.